All right, let's get right into it right now. Matt Canavan, Senator Matt Canavan, of course, standing by for us right now. Victorious in Queensland, excited about a new broom, domestos being sent to the offices of all incoming ministers. Congratulations to the LNP team made over the weekend. Commiserations to Sam Crosby, who I know was just every 15 minutes, mate, please tell me it's not this bad. Please tell. Oh, that Anthony Green says we're doing much better than we actually
On the night, I was pretty happy.
I'm sure you were.
I went to bed thinking this was okay. I woke up,
yeah.
Well, that's a bit sore.
I'll give you the tip. You read the numbers today and you
feeling a lot worse today.
Yeah, second lowest primary in 100 years. All right. Now, let's have the chat about the upgrade stuff, okay? Jim Chalmers today should have just said, yeah, probably, I don't know, but I never picked up the phone to Alan Joyce. This is what he had to say about him moving up to the front of the plane.
I haven't asked Alan Joyce, no. I'm not sure if I have received one. I don't think so, but I'd have to have a look.
Now, Matt, is what he's going to, for want of a better term, save the Prime Minister here? And again, I don't believe he's about to be sent off to the Corruption Commission or he's about to resign office in the next couple of days. But is what's going to save him here that he's going to turn around and say, well, everyone does it. Everyone does it. The problem is not everyone picks up the phone to the CEO of the biggest company in the portfolio that theoretically you were regulating as the Transport Minister. If you did that as the Racing Minister, I think you wouldn't last the week.
Well, exactly right, Paul. I don't think everyone does it. I certainly wasn't aware that there was a red telephone in Alan Joyce's office, which we could call and just request some random upgrades. Look, Jim, I think, was fine answering that question. I don't believe I've got an upgrade either. I certainly haven't got one on personal flights. We do take lots of business flights, obviously. But yeah, I'm beggars belief for me that you'd call up Alan Joyce and ask personally for an upgrade, especially, as you say, when you were the responsible minister regulating that company. It's completely inappropriate behaviour, and the Prime Minister hasn't given a good explanation for why he conducted it. I do think there are really real questions that need to be asked now. I actually did ask a question of Qantas when we had Alan Joyce before the Senate Cost of Living Committee last year. I asked them to provide a list of all upgrades that they'd provided to Mr Albanese, his family, his staff, or anyone else travelling with him. They refused to do so for privacy reasons, but because of these latest allegations and the connection to the now Prime Minister's ministerial responsibilities at the time, I think Qantas should answer that question. And I know I've been talking to colleagues about ways and means we could use the Senate to force the answer to that question, because I think Australian people deserve to know.
Sam, why is travel always a blind spot for politicians? I mean, we all know on this side of the fence.
It's a great question, and I mean, how many MPs have lost their jobs over the last 50 years from travel rorts? You know, going back for governments and governments and governments. Look, it's a good question. I don't know. I think federally, because they do so much of it. You know, I mean, every week Matt calls in from a different part of Australia. You know, I don't know when any of these guys see their families, because they are always on the road. So I think
they have to. I mean,
absolutely,
it's a big joint.
Absolutely,
I do it once a month. I get it. It's a big joint. To
26 weeks of the year, you've got to fly down. You know, or most of them have to fly down to Canberra.
Yeah,
and that's just to go to their other workplace.
But it's when you go on holidays to Hawaii.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it about Hawaii and Australian Prime Ministers that causes such trouble?
But look, to your point, is he going to get out of this because he's able to say, well, everyone does it? Yeah, I kind of think he is, because I kind of think I don't know about Matt and Jim, but certainly I know a lot of them have had upgrades.
But what happens is that automatically those
go, Matt. Yeah. I was just going to say, I'll just go back to what I was saying. I mean, obviously, talk to politicians. I don't think any of us do what Anthony Albanese is alleged to have done in this case, or I'm certainly not aware of it. That's the difference here. Yeah. I mean, I say I don't think I've ever got an upgrade. I mustn't be special enough. But I from what I know, I think the upgrades normally happen when you just get to the airport. So, would you like to be upgraded, sir? Okay, you're not going to say no, presumably. But this idea that you'd call ahead to the CEO of the company.
Come on.
And ask him to give you special attention. There's something fishy about that.
All right, Broken Hill, Matt. Something that you are phenomenal in your representation of regional Australia, not just the specific part of regional Australia that you live in, is and it's really not opened my eyes, but certainly underlined my central belief over the past 5 years, and why we do Our Town is to, hey, 27 million people, and they live in lots of different places, and all of them have a right to healthcare and to be happy and to have a job and housing and all the rest of it. What does the Broken Hill 10 days without power and the collective national attitude to it say to you about what I was mentioning when it came to those two Australias?
Well, lots of those smaller parts of this country feel justifiably ignored. Obviously, if something like this had happened in a major city, it would be front page news all around the country while it was happening. Yet this has only just become news after the event, and I'm guilty myself. I didn't realise it until it was reported in the Australian. I have spoken to some of my New South Wales Nationals colleagues today after discovering it, and it's a shocking circumstance that Broken Hill found themselves in. Obviously, this was a freak storm that caused this, but there didn't seem to be a lot of care or concern for what is a historic community that continues to produce a lot of wealth for our country. My New South Wales Nationals colleagues are calling on the government to declare this a natural disaster, and that would unlock the normal assistance that occurs for people that have lost food items in their fridge, had damage, and have to now have thousands of dollars in cost in some cases to respond. So I hope the government does listen to those concerns now that more Australians know about it. I should also add too that another thing that's not yet reported to me that I have heard through the traps is that Roxby Downs is also out of power. And now I'm not sure if it's the same storm, but it's similarly from storms. It's been out of power for over a week now. And while some power has been restored, the Olympic Dam mine and smelter is still not at full production capacity. It's costing BHP a fortune, costing our country a lot of money. And again, just goes totally unreported for the people that have to suffer through it in the country areas.
Correct. But, if there's a traffic delay on the way to the stadium because Taylor Swift's in town, rolling coverage when it comes to the cities. All right. Let's get a bumper sticker versions out of both of you about Queensland, because obviously I want to give you one shot at America before I head off. Labor's second lowest primary vote in 100 years. Yes, Greens pushed a little further back.
Look, I guess it's all about expectations and when you start off. Like, we went into that election thinking it was going to be like the Tarago election when Anna Bligh got absolutely decimated.
Because it's a bus, it's better?
Well, yes, genuinely. Like, in 4 years' time, and, I genuinely think Stephen should do the right thing by the party and go to the backbench and give us a chance to rebuild and put up some other faces who aren't associated with the last however many years of government.
The success of the New South Wales Labor Party was the people who got booted or got flushed. The people who got elected were all brand new faces.
Well, and you look at South Australia, Peter Malinauskas came back after one term because Jay did the right thing and left. You look at Brumby, and Dan Andrews was able to come back after one term because Brumby did a really good job. And similarly, I don't want to give Stephen Miles too hard a time. I'm sure you'll help me with that.
More than happy.
But I do think, from a Labor perspective, he did not embarrass himself. He should be lauded as having, had a dignified exit. But now, do the right thing and go to the backbench.
Well, as I said, whatever goodwill that may well have been built up for a couple of weeks, he blew on election night. Matt, your thoughts on little details here, little details there. What did you think?
Well, look, the reason Sam went to bed happy on Saturday night was because the election day vote was a lot closer than the vote leading up to it. And the problem for the Labor Party was only a third of Queenslanders voted on election day. And so when those pre-poll numbers came in, the 2/3 who voted early, they voted very differently and voted massively against Labor. So it could have been very well a bust if that trend had continued right through election day. And look, it's a great win for the LNP. It's been a long time since they've formed government. They deserve the plaudits for achieving that. At some time, though, of course, we'll have to look at that campaign and understand why there was such a big difference in the vote on election day compared to pre-poll. My early estimation is, being on the booze, is that it's a lesson that you can't fatten the pig on market day, and especially trying to dock off a first-term government federally. We need to have some pretty coherent and strong policies to withstand the inevitable Labor scare campaign. The only thing that the Labor Party excelled at over the last decade in Queensland was running the mother of all scare campaigns about Campbell Newman.
Yes.
And we got there in the end, but we probably tripped the light fantastic a bit by ourselves not having a lot of policies to defend against that scare campaign.
Good stuff. Lads, I will talk to you next week, even though I'll be in America. You'll be here. The way of these America shows are going to work is, yes, I'm going to talk a lot, but we're still going to talk about Australia, and these lads will both look probably the same.
How's that any
Looking
different?
Slightly happier than Sam right now. I wonder why.